Welcome back to my channel, guys. In today's video, I'm going to be closing out my 2020. Thank the Lord. 2020 has been a rough year, as you all probably already know, and I'm just kind of going to go through like a reflection of what happened this year, the positives of this year, because even though there were a lot of negatives, there were also a lot of positives. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is going through my New Year's resolution for 2020 and kind of what I did in 2020 and how I improved on those things. Then I'm going to go into my New Year's resolution for 2021 and talk about each of those, and then I'm going to go into the positive things and negative things that happened this year. The first thing on my New Year's resolution for 2020 was to use the 2-day rule to keep a consistent workout schedule, and I wanted to tone my body, not lose weight. And so I actually stopped working out altogether a while ago because of COVID and everything, and like dance, so I was going to dance a lot. And I just wasn't really, I used the 2-day rule, which, like, if you don't know what that means if one day I don't work out and then the next day I don't work out, then the third day I have to work out, because after 2 days you have to work out, and that's just kind of like the rule that I set for myself. It ended up not working for me because I found that when I didn't track the days that I worked out, I actually ended up working more. So I didn't completely stop working out, I just really could not get into anything for a while. So like I did Chloe Ting's 2-week challenge, and then after that I kind of just stopped. I was like, I don't like this, it is way too much work. It was just not realistic for me to be doing that every day. And then I tried running on the treadmill. I really hate running, so I don't know why I did that. I tried dance workouts, did that for a day and then stopped. I did yoga for about like a couple months and then just stopped. I don't know why. Right now, I've actually been walking on the treadmill at an incline of 12, speed of 3 for 30 minutes. That seems to work way better because I can just watch YouTube videos or like listen to music or something, and it's kind of just like my own time to just like chill out, so it works a lot better. The thing that I really want to make sure that I'm doing is working out when I can. So I want to make sure that I'm not being lazy and just saying like, oh, I don't feel like working out today, so I'm not going to work out. If I'm busy and don't have time to work out in my day, that's fine, then I won't work out. But if I have the time and I'm sitting there on my phone, then heck yeah, I'm going to go down in my basement and I'm going to walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes. So even though I stopped using the 2-day rule, I am definitely still keeping in shape and worrying about my fitness a little bit, because I want to make sure that I'm working out for myself, getting my heart rate up so that I can live a long life. The next one is limit the amount of added sugar that I'm eating in my diet, and this one I've come so far on. I used to actually have an app that would like regulate it. I would put my food in and it would tell me how much added sugar I'm eating in my day, and now I kind of just regulate it like in my brain because I don't really need to use an app for it. And a lot of the foods that I'm buying do not have a lot of added sugar, and if I am eating like a cookie or something, then I stop after 1 or 2. I'm not just like eating the whole 5 bags of cookies. Whenever I buy food, I always make sure to look at the nutrition label to see how much added sugar is in it, and if it's like a lot of added sugar, then I won't buy it. Usually I don't buy things with added sugar in it because I just don't think it's the best thing for your diet. The next thing is to find stillness in my busy life. So every night I actually meditate. I listen to some like calming down nighttime music, and I just sit there and I pray and I just talk with God and kind of just find the stillness that I need in my busy life. And actually with COVID and everything, my busy life has definitely gone down to a minimum. I have not been as busy as I would have been if everything was open. The next one is to go to mass every single Sunday. This year has been just like so messed up, but I did have a streak. I was going to church every single Sunday in the beginning of January, February, March, and then all of the churches closed down and the whole world closed down. So for a while they were doing mass like online. I just lacked motivation and I did not watch the online masses because I found it uninteresting and kind of like boring because I was just at home. I would get distracted all the time. But a couple months ago I did did get into the habit of watching them every Sunday. So every Sunday morning I sit down, I watch Mass, because I found that even if I was only doing my Bible study on Sunday, it still is important to take time and go to Mass on Sunday. I was doing Bible study every day, but I thought that Mass would be a good extra thing to put into my daily Bible routine. So the next thing is to obey my parents, do whatever they ask when asked. So like if my mom was like, Jessica, go feed the horses, I would be like, okay, and go do it. I found that this is seriously a life changer. Obviously, I still argue back sometimes, and I'm like, no, I don't feel like it. And sometimes I do win, because I'm like, you know what, Mom, I had a really busy day, and I'm really, really tired, and, she understands that sometimes. But if she asks me and I'm like playing on my phone or something, she's like, Jessica, go down to the barn. And I'm like, okay. So I found that it's a lot better if you don't argue with your parents, because one, they're going to make you do it anyway, and two, you just have a better relationship with your parents if you just do what they ask you to do. And it's so much easier. You go, you do the task, and you're done. You're not sitting there arguing for 10 minutes about how you don't want to do it. It definitely was a work in progress, but now I think that I'm really getting into it, and if my mom asks me to do something, I usually do it right away. It has gotten a little hard recently just because it's cold outside and I don't want to do anything outside, but I'm working on it. The next thing is to deepen my relationship with God through prayer, holy music, podcasts, and spending more time with Him than social media, and through youth group. So my relationship with God has seriously improved so much. I read the Bible every day, well, almost every day, because sometimes I do forget, and I'm a human, that's just gonna happen. But with COVID, I was reading 4 to 6 chapters of the Bible every day because I didn't have school, and that I'm so grateful for. Even though the state of the world is so bad, my relationship with God would not be as strong as it is today if it wasn't for COVID, and for that I am grateful. And because I'm reading the Bible more, I'm learning so much more. I'm diving into the big questions about like denominations and baptism, the different views of different Christians, and it just has broadened my knowledge so much. Think about this, guys. I did not have a Bible until last Christmas, which was a year ago, and I've already read like half of the Bible. It's literally crazy. Another thing is, when I first became a Christian, I really was not into Christian music at all. I really did not like it, and so I would kind of put it off, and I would be like, okay, I'd rather listen to the crap music with a bunch of cussing and stuff. And so that's kind of the route that I was going. I started forcing myself. I was like, okay, on Sundays, since it's the Sabbath, I'm going to only listen to Christian music, and I started doing that. And once I started getting familiar with the songs and knowing the lyrics, that's when I really got into it and really started loving it, because I actually knew the songs. It was so foreign to me before I knew the songs, and I would go right to pop because I was like, alright, I know these songs, and they're easy to remember, so I'm gonna stick with that. But when I changed my perspective, it was so much better. The next thing was to stay pure. This has been a big one for me. If you guys don't know this, I am waiting until marriage to do the dirty. I want to save myself for someone that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, and I want it to be in marriage because that's what God calls us to do. And so I have to stay pure in order to do that, and I don't want to do anything that is going to lead me to make bad decisions. It is definitely a lot easier to stay pure outside of a relationship. I actually was in a relationship about halfway through this year, and it just wasn't working out. So I did end things. Unfortunately, it was a really big decision, and it was really hard for me. But I definitely think that we didn't set boundaries at the beginning of our relationship, and that was a big problem because we would break a bunch of boundaries, and so it was just harder for us to stay pure as our relationship kept going on, and that was a big thing for me. It really is hard to create boundaries once you've already past things. And then if I do have lustful or inappropriate thoughts, I just pray that God delivers me from those thoughts and keeps them away from me, because I do not want them. They're literally the worst. The next thing was, don't put myself in positions where people are making bad decisions. I think personally this year has been perfect because I'm not really going anywhere, so I'm not really in areas where people are making bad decisions. I'm also not that big of a party person, so if a lot of people are drinking and smoking and stuff, it's not my favorite thing ever. If a lot of my friends are there and like if there's other sober people at the party, then that's a little bit different. And I'm kind of like the mom. I like to get people water so that they're not gonna have a hangover. The next thing on my list was to read more. Before this year, I literally hated reading, but it's okay. I actually read 19 books, not including the books out of the Bible. In total, I read 33 books, and that's just crazy to me. I have never read that much in my life, and it's just amazing what you can do, especially during quarantine. I was reading like books like that. I read The Silent Patient in 3 days. I read Me Before You in 5 days. I listened to an audiobook in 5 days. If you're more interested in the books that I read, I made a whole video about all of the books that I read and the reviews, so I will leave that down below. The next thing was to give more, and I think that I'm definitely doing that a lot. I feel like a much more giving person. So like in church, I would put money in the poor box that I had made or been given as a gift. After I finish a year of working, I'm planning on tithing and giving 10% of what I make, because I feel like if I'm giving back to God, then that is the main idea, because God gives us money. It's not our money, it's God's money. He's giving it to us, and 10% is just a small percent of that has to go back to Him, because we should be glorifying God through everything that we do. And a little example of this is I had $1 in my dance bag, and someone was really hungry at dance, and they were like, but I don't have any money, like, does anyone have any money? And instead of being like, no, I don't have $1 because like I want the snack, I would be like, yeah, and I gave one of my friends the $1 so that she could get a snack because she needed it more than I needed it. The last thing on my 2020 New Year's resolution is going out of my way to help someone, be nice always, and be compassionate. So an example of this is a woman at a grocery store. She was an older lady and she was kind of struggling to get her water into her cart, so I went over, I got it for her, put it in her cart. And then to be nice always, this is an example that I like to use. Sometimes when I would be like sitting in class or something and someone's like talking my ear off, I have my headphones in, I'm playing on my phone, I'm not giving them any of my attention, I would instead take my earbuds out, put my phone down, and actually engage in conversation, because clearly they want to have a conversation and maybe they're going through something and really need someone at that time. And instead of ignoring them and being on my phone, which I have definitely done a couple times, I'm not going to say that I haven't, but I really just wanted to engage in conversation, give them my full attention, because I want to be nice, even if they are annoying me or something. Like, I want to be nice to them and give my attention, because I would want the same respect. That's a wrap for my New Year's resolution for last year, and now I'm going to get into my 2021 New Year's resolution. I will say that I already have started working on these things, but I wanted to continue to work on these through 2021 because they are pretty important to me. The first one is to gain control of my eating habits, so overeating, binge eating, and I want to eat healthier. Lately, because of quarantine, I have just been binge eating. I'm not going to say that I had a binge eating disorder, but I would eat uncontrollably. I would eat a bunch of like food that was not good for my body. I would feel guilty when I was eating at work because I work on a food truck. So if I was eating like a lot on the food truck, I would think people are judging me. I just eat so much and people are gonna think that I'm like a pig because I'm eating all this food. And they probably weren't. If they were, I don't really care. I'm getting better at it. The tips that have helped me so far with my binge eating was to ask myself, why am I doing it? Even while you're eating, just ask myself, why am I doing that? And sometimes I'll be like, oh, because this is really tasty and I want to have some more. And then I would ask myself, am I hungry? Am I full? So like it's all up here. You have to be in the right mindset. And I would overeat to the point where I was so full that I felt sick, and I have to ask my body, like, am I full? Or am I just eating because it tastes good? Like, you have to communicate with your body and listen to your body and respond to it. If you're hungry, eat something. If you're full, stop eating. And it seems really simple, but it's really not, because it's such a mental game. Another thing that you can do is put healthy foods out. So instead of making it really easy to reach a cookie, put the cookies in the back of the pantry and put the apples and the fruit on the outside of the pantry, so that that's the first thing that you're gonna grab. And it's hard for me because if I lived by myself, I live live with my parents, obviously. If I live by myself, I wouldn't buy those foods, but because they live in the house, I have to put the healthy foods out, so that's what I'm going to eat. Another thing is that you have to make sure that you're exercising, burning off the calories that you're eating. If I overeat a little bit on carbs, when I work out, I'm burning off the carbs that I overate. Also, I do have an app that counts my calories. Some people think it's useless to count calories. I personally like it because I know what I'm intaking, and it tells me like how much I overate on like my lunch or my snacks or whatever, and it says how much carbs I'm eating, and then I can plug my exercise into that and how many calories I'm burning, and so it kind of just measures everything, and I like that. The next one is to not have an attitude with my parents. I have been a lot better with obeying them, but my attitude is just not good. If they're wrong, I yell at them, and I just feel so bad. Even today at the store, like, it's honestly embarrassing, like, my attitude. Like, I wish I was nicer to my parents. That's definitely something I need to work on, because today in the store, my mom, like, went up to the register, and I was like, Mom, there was someone right in front of you, and, like, she looked at me, and she was, like, the woman looked at me, and she was like, oh, I told her that she could go in front of me, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I yelled at my mom for something that she didn't even do, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. If I yell at them for something, or if they're right about something and I'm wrong and I just haven't admitted it, after I think about it for a while, I go back that night or something and I apologize, saying like, I'm really sorry that I yelled at you, and I think that that is such a great thing that has helped me so much with improving my attitude, because if you acknowledge it and apologize, then it makes everything a lot better. Staying focused while praying. This is something that I have struggled with for a little bit, especially at night if you're praying right before bed, because usually when I pray right before bed, I'm winding down, I'm getting more tired, I start zoning out and repeating myself in my prayer like 1,000 times. I'm like, I love you, God, I had a really nice day, I love you, God, thank you for everything that you do, I love you, and like, that just keeps happening. Or like, another thing is I'll start thinking about tomorrow or like the day that I had and not even focusing on my prayer. The next one is not listening to songs with cussing. So I've actually started making playlists without like music that has cussing in it. Listening to Christian music has been a great help with this. If there's a song with cussing on the radio, I just switch to a different channel. I just don't want to listen to that. Or like, if I like a song and I want to put it on my Spotify playlist, if it says explicit, then I don't add it. Sometimes I make an exception and put it into my playlist, which I'm working on not doing that. In my 2021 playlist on Spotify, I am not going to have any explicit songs. I'm saying it out loud right now, so you guys can hold me accountable. The next thing is I want to complain less. I honestly think it's so annoying when people complain, but I'm kind of a hypocrite because I complain too, so I'm like, Jessica, like, get it together. And obviously we're humans, we're gonna complain sometimes, but I really want to not do it a lot. Because if you think about it, I want to have a grateful heart, and you know what? Other people have it so much worse than me, and I always think about this as an example, like my sight and my hearing. Imagine not being able to see colors. Like, imagine not being able to smell flowers or like sweet cookies or something. Like, I can't even imagine that. So instead of complaining about the little things in my life, I need to think about the big picture. And also, no one wants to hear you complain. Like, if you're complaining, complain to God. He's the one that will take your complaints, but other people do not need to hear it. The next one is to keep the Sabbath holy. This one is actually really good because I do not work on Sundays. My bosses are actually really, really cool about this because they know that, like, that's my day for family and for God, and so I don't work on Sundays, and I'm really trying to, like, not do work on Sunday, so, like, getting all of my chores done and homework done on, like, during the week, so that I can spend more time with God on Sunday and, like, spend more family time. I wasn't raised to keep the Sabbath holy, because, like, I know a lot of people say, like, that's an old ritual that people don't apply anymore, but it is one of the 10 commandments, and it is really important. So God wants us to rest. We have 6 days of working, and he wants us to rewind and kind of get ourselves back together on Sunday so that we're ready for the week. The next thing is to walk like a wife. So not walk like a girlfriend, walk like a wife. So I have to portray myself as if I'm already taken because God has my heart. It seems so cheesy, but it's so true. God has our heart. We're already taken by God. We do not need a man in our life to make us happy, and that's how I want to portray myself. So like, for example, if you comment on a guy like, oh my gosh, he's so hot, or like obsess over a TikTok boy and go on their account, follow them and like all of their videos, DMing them and stuff, I'm not gonna lie, I've done it before, and that is not how I want to act, because that's just like not the way to go. That's not how you're gonna get a boyfriend. If you walk confidently and not like you're chasing after people, then that's when God is going to send a godly man into your life. There's also a TikTok about this, so I will definitely link that down below. The next one is to only gossip to God. So I actually find myself, I do not gossip about my friends. That is just not something that I've ever done. Maybe like in middle school or something, but I hate gossip, I hate drama, but I find myself talking about family members more than I talk about my friends. Like, if one of my family members does something and it annoys me, or if they comment on how I dress, I'm gonna go back to my mom and be like, yeah, like they told me that I looked ugly today. And instead of doing that and bringing all my problems to my mom, which I do a lot of the time, I want to gossip to God, because everything is in God's hand. I don't want to portray myself that I'm gossiping about my family members to my parents. Like, that's just not how I want to be. And, you know, everything is in God's hands, and so who's the best person to gossip to than God himself? And God is the only one that can fix your issues. Like, if you go to a family member, yeah, they can give you advice on what to do, but God has a plan, and if you pray to him, then he's the one that's actually going to change it. The next thing is to pray about anything and everything throughout the day. So, like, if there's an ambulance going down the road, I'm going to pray that that person is watched over by God and that they're safe. And then, like, if I have a test, I'm going to ask God to give me the strength to have motivation to study for that test. And it's just like little things throughout the day that God can help you with. Oh my gosh, guys. I remember one time I did not pray about God, like thanking him that I woke up that morning and thanking him for that day, and I had the worst morning ever. I was like crying in school, and then I was like, shoot, I didn't pray to God this morning. And so then I prayed, and my day got so much better after that. I just remember that so well. And you know, it really is life-changing once you start praying throughout your day about the little things, because that's really what matters. If I sit at night and pray the same prayer every single night and zone out, then what's really the point? I'd rather pray about anything and everything throughout my day. The next one is to resist from inappropriate thoughts. This one I have struggled with a little bit. I've gotten so much better. I don't know why those like thoughts were popping into my head all the time, but I was just praying over it and saying like, Jesus, please, please, please deliver me from these thoughts. And he did. Not being judgmental, loving your neighbor no matter what. So we're called as Christians to love our neighbor, love our enemy. You might not like a person, but it's not the person that you dislike, it's their choices that you dislike. And that's kind of my mindset towards it, my perspective. Hate the sin, not the sinner. And you don't want to base someone's character off of one interaction with them. They could have been having a bad day, something could have been going wrong in their life. You really don't know. And so you have to really like ask yourself, like, am I judging them? Am I judging their appearance? Like, no, you can't do that. The next thing is to grow my relationship with God so that I can teach without being pushy. This is something that I struggled with so much. Me and my parents, or my parents and I, sorry. We have definitely had some long discussions about faith and kind of things that are in the Bible and their opinions on things. And I get really frustrated because they're like, no, that's not true or whatever. And usually that just leads to arguments, and that really is not going to make them want to follow Jesus, because pushing my beliefs on someone is not going to help them create their relationship with Jesus. Something that does help people with their relationship with Jesus is seeing your character. Your character is going to reflect Jesus more than you pushing your beliefs on other people. And I've definitely been trying to work on this, because if I'm just sitting in my room reading my Bible, or if I'm listening to Christian music or whatever, or I'm talking about the amazing things that God has done in my life, that is going to be so much more influential. And I know that this is a fact because my parents will walk into my room, they'll be like, oh, what are you doing? And I'll be like, oh, I'm reading my Bible. And one time I was in my mom's car, and without me even asking her, she put on Christian music. And I was like, I want to start telling people have a blessed day, or have a blessed day. I don't know how it's have a blessed day, have a blessed day, whatever. I just love when people say that to me, and I feel like if I say it to people, then they're gonna have even a better day, and that's just awesome. Now I'm going to go quickly through the things that happened this year that were good and negative. So the first thing obviously is COVID-19. So online school, dance was on Zoom, which was literally so frustrating and took such a toll on my mental health. Online school honestly isn't even that bad. Like, the way that we were doing it at the end of last year was they would just give us assignments and then we would do it, which they were really easy. This year at the beginning it was a little harder to like get into the flow of it. A lot of teachers were a lot lazier this year because they would just show us a video and then give us a quiz, and we were like, how are we supposed to be learning like that? But it is getting a lot better. And then dance, it was on Zoom for a while, and so that was really frustrating because I could not see anything that was happening. There was lagging. We don't have Wi-Fi at my house, so I have to use my personal hotspot on my phone, and it would burn up in like 2 Zoom calls, and it was so frustrating. Now we are actually in the studio, but we have to wear masks, which isn't that bad, but at first dancing with a mask on, it was literally the worst thing ever. But I do have to say that my mental health is actually a lot better now than it was last year when we were actually in the building, because now I'm getting 8.5 hours of sleep every single night because of online school. So I wake up at 7:30 instead of 6 o'clock, and I feel very refreshed every morning, and I'm getting that extra sleep because usually during this time I'm going off of 6 hours of sleep every single night, and by this time of year I would be so exhausted and drained. I don't really have any bags under my eyes. I mean, I do a little bit, but like they would be so much worse if I was in the school building. And because of COVID, I was reading like 4 chapters of the Bible every day, which is crazy, and I just was deepening my relationship with God so much, and I'm forever grateful for that. Another thing that happened was my youth minister left the church this year. There was a lot of things, and we honestly think that we're not going to end up continuing going to mass at our current church, but we can't really explore any other churches right now because of COVID. But a lot of things just happen, and we're kind of just questioning, like, why is the church really doing what they're doing, and if they have the right intentions. That was actually, it impacted me a lot, and we wrote up a bunch of petitions and stuff to the church, and like I feel emotional talking about it right now because our youth minister was the biggest impact on me. If it wasn't for him in my life, I definitely would not have a strong relationship with God. He was my confirmation teacher when we had confirmation classes, and that was when I decided to give my life to God, and he just really like explained things so well to me, and he really got me involved in God. And like, if it wasn't for him, I know for a fact that I would not be where I am today. So that's why I was so sad that he was leaving. We do keep up with him on like social media and stuff, but it's hard because he was like such a great mentor to me, and it's hard when someone like that has to be taken out of your life. We sold a horse and we got a horse this year. So we had a horse named Whiskey, and he was getting really old, so we leased him to another owner, which means that like it still is ours, but it just lives somewhere else, and they do like all the payments and stuff. And then we got a horse, which is my horse Dollar's half brother. His name is Magic, and my mom absolutely loves him, which is great. I got contacts this year, which was the best and worst thing. At first, I hated contacts. I could not get them in and out, and they just irritated my eye. I have astigmatism, so contacts are not the best thing, but I tell you one thing, they're a lifesaver for dance and for work. If I did not have them for dance or work, I don't know what I would do. I got my license this year, which was so much better. Literally, I love my license so much. I get to just drive wherever. I get to drive to work. I don't need to ask a bunch of people for a ride. And yeah, it is everything that everyone says. Like, if I want to go to my friend's house, I text my mom, hey, can I go to blah blah blah's house? Boom, done. I got my first job this year, so besides babysitting, I did babysit during quarantine because my mom's friends needed a babysitter because their kids were still in school, and so I got paid pretty well for babysitting, and then I got a job at the food truck, which I have been there for about 6 months now, which is super exciting. I love that job. I love my bosses and everyone that works there. It's such an amazing job. This year was a year of new opportunities. I actually wrote a song this year. It's not available yet, but I'm working on it to get it performance ready, so that's crazy. I've never written a song before. I love singing and playing my ukulele, and now I have my own song, which is crazy. And then this year I started actually singing on YouTube. I had never posted a video of me singing because I had a little bit of stage fright, but I practiced a lot and I got it up, and you know what? It was probably one of the best things that I've ever done because I'm so proud of myself, and I've learned a new instrument, and it has been such a great time. We got termites this year, which was a big issue. They're inside the walls, and then they go outside and they have tunnels and stuff. If you don't know a lot about termites, don't assume that we don't have good hygiene, because that has nothing to do with it. They just like wood, and our house is made out of wood, and there was a lot of moisture around our house, and they like that, so that's why they came. We had to end up putting a French drain in before we could do the termites because it couldn't disrupt anything or whatever. So we put in a huge French drain in our garden and changed the garden and everything. So if you don't know what that is, it pretty much takes the water from around the house and moves it outside of the house. That was a project that took literally all summer. During that project, I actually bruised the bone in my foot, I guess from the pressure on the shovel. So if this was the shovel, I was beating it down with my heel, and so I was in a boot for 2 months. I had a bruised bone in my ankle, I had a cyst in between my joints, and then I was in a brace for a month, and then I had to go to physical therapy and do all this stuff, so I wasn't able to dance for a couple months, which was so sad. And I got really bad acne this year. If you don't know this, I broke out insanely this year. These are all scars. Right now I have no pimples on this side of my face. These two are clearing up pimples, these two are clearing up, and then all of this is scarring. But that is something that I really, really struggled with this year. I'm finally starting to clear it up, but it was just so annoying, especially with the masks. That's when I actually got acne, was because of the masks. I went through a pretty hard breakup this year. We were dating for a year and 8 months, and I actually ended up breaking up the relationship because it was so weird. I know this sounds crazy, and I tell this to everyone, but I literally felt like I had a calling to God to not be with him anymore because I didn't really see him as a husband, and I believe that we should always date to marry, and I felt like I didn't want to waste his time when he could be hanging out with his friends, and I really wanted to hang out with my friends too, because high school is really about making memories with your friends. I really like this quote that says, high school is about finding your bridesmaids, not your groom. So I think that that's a great mental perspective to go off of, to really just prioritize your time with your friends and make sure that you're hanging out with them, because in the long run, that's who's going to matter. I actually got to be drum major this year, which is super exciting. So if you don't know what that is, I'm in band, and so the person that conducts and stuff, I got to be that, which I was so happy about this year because I really wanted to be something higher in the band. I like being a leader. I want people to be able to look up to me for advice and stuff. We got a bunny this year. She is so cute. Her name's Penelope, and she's growing up so fast. And that was definitely a highlight in our year. Another thing was my mom's uncle actually passed away this year. Unfortunately, they said that he got all the cancer out of his system. He was fighting with cancer for 2 years. They said he was going to be fine, and then he obviously wasn't, and he fought through it, but he did not win the battle. I mean, you could say that he did win the battle because he got to be with Jesus, and that is the ultimate battle. I honestly am kind of jealous of him because I want to be with Jesus. He had a beach house, and so we got to spend a lot of time in the beach house. We were going to end up buying it, but it was really expensive, so we did not buy it. But my uncle had a beach house, and then he had a lot of land right next to it, so my grandparents actually bought the lot of land, and we're going to put our own beach house on it, so I'm very excited about that. I figured out that I had dandruff this year. We're gonna end on a little fun thing of dandruff. I just can't take it anymore. Like, I've tried dandruff shampoos, I've tried washing my hair every day, and it's just so itchy. And I know I don't have lice because my mom has checked me. She knows what lice look like and stuff because I had it when I was little. For a while, I thought it was like the products that I was using. I thought it was like just my scalp because it was dry or something, but yeah, it's really bad, and so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it will get better soon. That is the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below some of your New Year's resolutions and kind of what you're grateful for this year. Even though it was kind of a rough year, there are still a lot of things to be grateful for. Have a blessed day!